Yeah, good, you?
Yeah, good. Second look, you're not taking us live, are you?
We'll jump into it live.
Just give David a second to run down the stairs.
Not at all. You're always that slow.
Luke, you kick us off.
Yeah. Callum, just tell us about this rivalry in the modern era and how much the current squad are looking forward to going up against England again.
Yeah, obviously it's a historic fixture. Like you said, boys are looking forward to it. Off the back of a really good result the other night. So everyone's excited, can't wait for the game.
As somebody who plays in Scotland, and there's not many in the Scotland squad, but do you feel that both for Scottish football and for the Scotland national team, it's maybe about changing a bit of the perception, because Scotland are doing well just now and this is the best place to show it against England when there's a lot of eyes on this game?
To be honest, I think the best way to show it is to try and do it in every game, you know, not just this one. Because if you don't perform in the other games and then you come and you perform in this one, then it doesn't really count for much. So I think the reason that the group have got better and better and managed to pick up some really good results is because of the work that we're doing every time we come away, becoming more cohesive in terms of, you know, collectively as performances go by, then we're getting more and more confident. And like you said, tomorrow night is just another chance for us to show that and to show our quality in a big game against a big opponent. So, you know, it's exciting for the players.
How do you feel this team's evolved since you last played England at the Euros?
Yeah, evolving all the time. Just like I said there, you know, we've had some big results since then. Looking really comfortable at this level, home and away, getting good results. So again, like I said, it's just another opportunity for us to show how far we've come. The group's obviously progressed and changed a little bit in terms of faces since the last game, but we'll try and draw on that experience, the ones that played in that game, and we aim for a positive performance and result tomorrow night.
You play in one of the biggest derbies in the world at club level. How does this compare, for example, at international level?
Yeah, probably much the same, to be honest. Like you said, that kind of Scotland-England rivalry, then it's a big game. You want to play in big games and try and give your absolute maximum as an individual and collectively. And again, that's the goal tomorrow night.
Callum, there's a sense that this is one that you might be able to really enjoy, given the occasion, given the opponents, and given what actually could happen tomorrow night elsewhere.
Yeah, of course. Listen, we'll see what happens elsewhere in the group. You know, our focus is now on tomorrow night. We'll prepare well tonight, rest up, and then, you know, it's all about us tomorrow night. Of course, there's another game going on, and it could turn out to be a significant night for us. But you know, our full focus has got to be on the game at hand for us, and you know, what a game. So, like I said, the players will rest up well tonight and be looking forward to tomorrow night, the kick-off.
I'm just wondering if things can get much better than this. Hampden full, playing England, and the possibility of qualifying for next year's Euros all wrapped up into one. Yeah,
of course, it can be a great night, but we have to make sure it's a good night. We have to do our part, and I'm sure the supporters will come, will pack the place out. It'll be a brilliant atmosphere, and we have to give them something to get behind. So, you know, all sort of hinges on us giving everyone a great night, and then of course we'll see what happens elsewhere in the group.
You talked about the comfort you have playing at this level just now. Obviously, we saw a fine performance down at Wembley and close to a victory for yourself. Who are you particularly looking forward to going up against, and what particularly kind of excites you about this fixture?
I'm just looking forward to the game. It's a big game for the country. Of course, you touch on the rivalry a little bit there as well. So it's great. These are the types of games that you want to be involved in. You know, they've got big players and big reputations, you know, all across the world playing in their country. So, you know, it's a great game for us to go and test ourselves. And like I say, we as a nation, if we want to continue to make the next step and continually qualify for big tournaments, then these are the types of games that we have to earmark performance and results. So we know it won't be easy. We know it'll be a tough game. We've got some really top players in their team. But for Scotland to make the next step is games like this that can help us make that jump.
Talking about making that next step, winning big games, winning games at tournaments. Obviously, when you had that game at Wembley, great performance, but when you approach the game, would you say the mentality has changed now, 2 years on? Because obviously you approach every game thinking you're going to win, believing you can win, but perhaps there wasn't the evidence previously that you could beat big teams, whereas now you come and you've got that result at Wembley. You've beaten Denmark here, you've beaten Spain, one of the best teams in the world. Has the mentality changed amongst the group going into this one?
Yeah, of course, because you're on the back of a good run. Like you said, the sort of recent history will tell you that, you know, we've put in some big performances in recent games against big nations. So, of course, that gives you belief, it gives you confidence going into the game. Like you said, maybe not the same a couple of years ago, but you have to start somewhere, and hopefully that was a good starting point for us to believe in those games that we can play well and try and get some sort of a result. So they've managed to come a long way since then, and again tomorrow night is another opportunity for the group to try and prove themselves against the big nations.
Just wanted to ask you as well, what are your earliest memories of this fixture? Do you remember watching it on the TV, or what's the first England-Scotland game you can remember?
That's a good question, actually. Not sure, actually.
I can't remember until, was it the 2013 one?
I'm pretty similar, probably
that game. Is that the one you remember?
And I wasn't that young at that point. So.
What were you doing when that game was on? Can you remember?
I was just watching it in house, so
yeah.
Obviously desperate to be involved, but at that point, not so much. So you're watching it, hoping the lads do well, and then obviously you want to be involved in those fixtures when they come around.
Yeah, those are the kind of games that, when you're growing up, even though they might not have been on TV, they're the ones you always imagine playing against England. Those are the kind of fixtures you want to play in, aren't they?
Yeah, of course. But that's it. It's a big rivalry for Scotland as well. So of course that's the ones that you dream of, playing against the big teams, the big nations, and the big competitions. So, like I said, it's a great opportunity for the lads to go and enjoy the game first and foremost. You know, go and express ourselves and see if we can get a positive result.
That rivalry, Callum, for the fans especially, they were dying to get one over on our noisy neighbours and keep that bragging rights though, won't they?
Yeah, of course. Listen, that's the nature of competitive football, competitive rivalries. It's probably more often than not all about the supporters, and of course the players, they want to win the game as much as the supporters do. But I think you have to understand that when you're playing these games, you're representing the country, you're representing the nation, and you're representing every Scotland fan that would do anything to play in this fixture. So you have to realise that and take it on and take that responsibility on and try and give off your best.
The manager was talking about the overview of this fixture, about how over time the gaps maybe got bigger and then smaller and vice versa, whatnot. Where do you see that at the moment? Do you think we're close to that level?
I think recent results will, probably form an opinion of where everyone thinks that we are, and I guess the best way for us to try and prove it is to be on the pitch tomorrow night and get a result. So of course we're in a great moment. Obviously England in a good moment as well, but off the back of a draw the other day. So the perception then changes everything again. But you have to stay focused as a player, do your job that the manager's asking you to do, and then after the game we'll let people decide how close or how far away we are. But our job is just to do what the manager asks us to do, and I'm sure the group are well versed in that now, and like I say, we're just looking forward to the game. It's a brilliant opportunity.
Callum, I was just looking at some of the stats 4 years ago when the manager took over. I think you were on 11 caps, Kieran was on 14, John was on 12, Scott was on 7. These are all now past 40 and 50 caps. Just think when you look back over especially the last couple of years, it seems like you've all been through everything together as a one team. Does those experiences, does it end up feeling a bit like a club team almost?
Yeah, it does, yeah. I think that was probably the plan at the time. Was obviously a big turnover in players and relatively inexperienced squad. You mentioned the caps there. I think national teams, when they're successful, is they've got a lot of experience. They've got a lot of boys who have got a number of caps and feel confident at that level. So I think that was the plan at the time, was to try and build a core. And now you touch on the numbers there, close to 40s and 50s, which is more like what you need at international level to be successful. And yeah, we've seen a lot of change in that time, but it's been a great journey, and obviously one that we just want to continue on and continually try to improve.
That game at Wembley, you obviously had your chances and you had your spells of possession, but it feels like now with yourself, Billy, Scott, all the players who are playing at the top level, it feels like, do you feel like you're in a position where play England tomorrow, and there's a lot of superstar names, but you can actually go here and put your imprint on the game?
But that's the hope. That's the expectation that you put on yourself, that the manager puts on the team. Like I keep touching on, it's the recent results that have given us the confidence and belief at this level that we can go and dominate games. And I believe with the players that we've got in our squad, certainly then, you know, to have more of the ball, control more of the game with the ball is definitely the way forward. And I think you've seen that now over a period of time. So, you know, the more time you spend with the ball, the less time obviously the opposition have got it, and they can hurt you. So it's good to have that control in the game. And tomorrow night's another big test for us. But yeah, we put that expectation on ourselves, and certainly the manager does as well.
Callum, it was more of a containment operation at Wembley a couple of years ago. Can you say how the approach could change for a home game with this new confidence that the squad's got?
Yeah, I think obviously the confidence gives the players belief in the results that we've had. But you know, I think if you look back over the period of success that we've had, we've been a really controlled team, you know, whether that be without the ball or with the ball. So it's not going to be a gun-ho, crazy type game. It'll be controlled. We'll try and have a decent chunk of the ball to limit the opposition and limit the amount of time they've got the ball. But you'll see a similar type of game, you know, structured out of possession, press at the right times, counter-attack at the right times, and that's where we're really comfortable as a team. So, you know, I wouldn't expect too much change from where we've been.
Scott McTominay and John McGinn have both scored a lot of goals in recent games. How important is your particular role when they're allowed to do that?
Well, that's why you've got 11 players on the pitch. Is everybody's equally as important. I think, you know, the jobs that we do are just as important as the guys at the top end of the pitch that score the goals. And as football's always been, the guys that score the goals will get the recognition. But you know, it's equally as important that we attack with 11 and we defend with 11. And then obviously the guys coming onto the game as well, they're so important. You've seen how important they were in Norway as well to turn the game on its head. So it's a real squad game, and like you said, these guys will get the headlines, and quite rightly so. But I think one thing that the squad recognises is that it's very much a team game, and everybody plays their part in that.
You're too young to remember when this was an annual fixture, but it was a real highlight every year. Would the players and yourself like to see it come back annually?
I think you would, don't you?
Oh, without a doubt.
I think that's the second time today you've asked that question. Listen, it's a great game, so you know, if we can find somewhere in the calendar for it, then maybe. But we'll see how the game goes tomorrow night, and you want to play in as many big games as possible as a player. So if they decide to do that and they think it's a good idea, then we'll be there.
Any others?
Cheers.
Thanks
very much, guys. Cheers. Thank you.